All right, you guys, welcome back. I got a new airbrush gun in. It's been a heavily requested subject on my channel. People keep asking me what kind of airbrush I use, what kind of gun I use, and things of that nature. And then people ask questions about like, how do I mix it? What do I mix it with? So I'm gonna answer all those questions today in this video. So let's get into this. The first look, we're gonna take that first look together at this new airbrush gun. However, I have had the exact same gun before. I did not have any problems with it. I actually gave it away, so I bought myself a new one. So here we have the new one. Look how nice and shiny it is. Now these ones go for about $25, and I'll put the link in the description for this particular gun, but I'm going to show you guys how to get it out and get it set up. All right, I will be using the Central Pneumatic. This is a 1.5 horsepower, and it runs at, I believe, about 55 psi when it's on. I'll tell you that in a minute because it's not hooked up right now. And you can get this exact airbrush gun at your local Harbor Freight, or I've also listed the link in the description. The next thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need some alcohol, a bottle of Kiss Express, whatever color you wanna use, and that's about all I could think of at the moment, but probably we're gonna use a piece of paper to go ahead and test it once we have it set. So I've used a lot of different airbrush guns in the past. In fact, I have this one here, and I've had multiple styles of this type of handle, and none of these handles have been that great for me. I've struggled with those, and I hate when I have to fight with it in front of a client. It's just really embarrassing. It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing, and I never had that issue with this other gun. So I'm gonna open this up. When you get this out, all you got is the gun, and of course this isn't gonna work just like this, but I would test the trigger, make sure the spring and everything is good in there, make sure that it's going back in place the way it should, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take off this bottom part because this type of nozzle, this type of hose, we don't need this. So I will go ahead and screw the actual, this end goes to your compressor, and I'll go ahead and I'll screw the actual bottom on. And at this point you can turn on your compressor, and this thing's almost ready to go, except for you don't have anywhere to put the stuff just yet. I'll pop off this there's a little plastic piece on the end. We'll take that off. We're not gonna need that anymore. And you can even test it. This is a good time to test it before you actually start getting too far into this, because you might want to send it back if you have an issue here. I've heard of some people having these issues, but I have not had many issues with this gun. Even when it leaks, it was still spraying really good. So anyways, when you see me pull on it, it stops right away. That's an indication that it's working properly and that all the things are sealing the way they're supposed to. You get two sizes here, and I'm gonna pick the smaller one. And the reason for that is you don't want to mix too much color at one time, because it's just going to go to waste. What will happen is it will start to discolor. It won't be the same color that it was when you first started out with it. As it sits in the alcohol, it begins to change colors, and a lot of times it changes purple and it becomes unusable. So I would tell you to just keep a little bottle around to do a mix, and don't try to store a whole bunch of this. Just let it sit separately. We'll get into that. But first I want to show you how to connect your... You see this little screw, right? It screws all the way off or all the way down. First, what you're gonna do is you're gonna screw it all the way down like this, so that you have the bottom of these threads sticking out. Next, this has an inside thread and it has an outside thread. So you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna thread this into the inside thread, and you're gonna roll it around and get it nice and tight. But once you get to a point, you don't want it to be tipped upside down like this, because you're going to be holding the gun like this. You'll be having trouble, because this is a gravity fed system. So once you have it in the position you want it in, that's when it's time to engage that other screw and tighten it down, and then it will stay. What I like to do is kind of cock it back like this and then push it back forward, and now it's really locked in place. That's perfect for when I'm spraying. I don't mind if it's tipped just a little bit this way, because actually it's going to be in this position. So yeah, this works out just fine. Also, you're gonna wanna make sure that the very tip of this, for whatever reason, these come loose once in a while, but when you first get it, I guess, just go ahead and tighten that. So everything is working and I'm pretty much ready to go. So the next step is, how do we mix the Kiss Express? Okay, so for the Kiss Express, I'm just gonna mix a little tiny bit for example's sake. There is no set method, like, you know, you could mix half and half or whatever, but you just don't wanna make it too thick. If you mix half and half, it's probably gonna be too thick. So what you're pretty much doing is you're just gonna look at it. You want it to be runny enough, but you also want it to match the color that you're trying to get by. Now, I've been able to match a very large majority of my customers. I've been able to match a large portion of my customer with the K89 Kiss Express, and I will put the link in the description for this particular one, but also there's a darker one, it's K98. That's like black, and if, you know, it just depends on what kind of color hair you're working on. But generally, I'm able to match the majority of people to this color by thinning out or thickening the mixture just a little bit. And the other thing too is the reason why there's no set way to mix this also, everybody's airbrush gun is different and may have a different diameter on the nozzle. So if that diameter is larger, it can push through a thicker mixture. Now if that diameter is smaller, then it's gonna get clogged more likely. So it just depends on what type of gun you're using. I find this gun to be very efficient. I can pretty much get by with most mixtures when I'm using this particular gun. So you don't want to mix it in the gun though. You want to just get yourself a little water bottle, and we're going to put a little bit of Kiss Express in there. Just a dab will do you. So I just have a little teeny tiny bit in there. I might need a little bit more than that, but not much. So once I have a little bit in there, just get any alcohol will do. You can do this also with water. It's not really a problem to do it with water, but I've had a little bit more luck with it drying a little quicker and just coming out a little bit smoother through the gun with alcohol in it. Okay, I got quite a bit of alcohol in there. But as you can see, just that little squirt with that little bit of alcohol, you can see all the liquids turned. And now, after I've mixed it, I've emulsified it pretty good, it's time to put it in the gun. Pump a little bit in there. You don't have to fill it up to the top. I just did, but then we'll put the cap on so that we don't spill it all over ourselves. Hopefully. Now this stuff will stain your floors in some shops, so be careful with it. Try to mix it in a spot where you don't mind, and just, you know, watch out for that. Sometimes you could put yourself down a little towel just to be a little extra careful. I really don't care. I'm in my garage. This can get messed up here, but if you're at your shop and you don't want to damage your station or anything, I'm going to give it a little test. It's working great. Now, of course, I could darken this mixture up a little bit. I don't want to waste too much more because I'm not actually doing anybody right now. And like I said, I don't want to waste the color. But of course, if you wanted to darken up the mixture a little bit, all you have to do is add a little bit more Kiss Express, and that's about it. So there is one more key point here that I will mention to you. Whenever you're done with this, okay, the first thing that you're gonna wanna do, especially at the end of the day, like, this is a really important thing. If you don't do this, you're gonna wind up having to take this gun apart and clean it, and it could be really tough. There's a lot of little parts. So what I'm gonna tell you what to do is how to properly clean your airbrush at the end of the day when you know you're not doing anybody else. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna dump the color back into the place. This will stay good for a couple days, but after that, it's gonna start to go. So sometimes it lasts, sometimes it doesn't, but either way, you want your airbrush to last. You don't really care about the color so much. So as soon as I'm done, at the end of any day, what I like to do is I like to fill it up with just straight alcohol, and I like to just blow it through. You could even leave just a tiny bit of alcohol in the gun. That's not gonna hurt nothing. And now it's safe to put this thing away for the day. And tomorrow when you pull it out, you're not gonna struggle in front of any clients. It's gonna work fine. Dump the color in it. When you're done, dump a little bit of alcohol in it, spray it through, and you'll never even have to clean it. You'll never have to worry about it. This gun is a fantastic little gun, and I can't wait to use it. And that's all I really got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope this helps. I hope it helps you make a decision on what air gun to buy. And for me, I just don't see any reason to buy a really expensive air gun when you can get one of this caliber for this cheap. I think it's just a no-brainer. So you guys go ahead and check these out. Let me know what you think. If you have one already, I'd love to hear anything that, I'd love to hear anything that you guys have discovered about them. Hope this helps you make a decision on what air gun to buy. And I wouldn't personally buy the really expensive one. I don't know if anybody has. If you have and you happen to have one of these, I'd love to know a comparison between the two, but I just don't see a reason to. And I think this is a great little airbrush setup. So if you have a compressor, if you don't, I listed the link in the description for it. And if you have a Harbor Freight next to you, you can get it even cheaper than that. So other than that, it's Mr. Eddie Barber. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will see you guys in my next video. I'm out of here. Peace.